Hello everybody, today is just a rough day. I didn't have the energy to get up on my bed, so I'm coming from you from the ground. I thought I would go over my physical TBR that I had for 2023 and show you guys all of the books that I did not get to. This is not something I'm proud of because I hate having physical books in my house that I just don't read or don't get to, especially some of these because I've had them for a really long time. I would say that I usually am pretty good about buying books. I don't buy a ton of books. I love using the library. I love using my Kindle Unlimited, just other things like borrowing books from friends, just because I don't have a ton of room, and also it does feel kind of like a waste of money when I can utilize the library. So when I have books that I put on my physical TBR and I go out of my way to buy books and then they just sit here and I don't read them, it really bothers me. And I have a giant stack that I'm looking at, so today's video we're gonna go through them. So let's get started. So the first book we have is Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr. I got this book because he was doing an author's event near my town, so I was gonna go see him. Something came up that day, so I didn't get to go actually see him, thank goodness, because I did read All the Light We Cannot See. I loved that book. I thought it was so intricate and beautiful. I read it a couple years ago actually, and I heard that this book was really good, so I picked it up and I did open up like the first couple of pages and I did read them and they seemed really good. Like, it feels like this book could be a masterpiece. However, it was just going over my head and I didn't have the mental capacity to read it at that point, so I closed it. Didn't end up going to that author's event and then never picked it up again. And I still really want to read it because I want to challenge myself to read books that actually require brain power, especially in 2024. But this is like, what, 550 pages, and it will take me a bit to get through, and so I don't know if I'm gonna get to it, to be perfectly honest with you, but I'm going to keep this on my TBR card for 2024 and hopefully I will get into it. I know that this book spans across timelines, but that's all I really know about it. I don't know a ton about it because every single time I try to read into it, I just get super confused. Okay, next up we have an entire fantasy series. It's actually a trilogy, and that is The Infernal Devices. I bought this at Barnes & Noble because I saw the spines. I didn't know at the time that all of Cassandra Clare's books have editions like this with the spines, but I saw these 3 books. I had heard great things about The Infernal Devices, so I was like, you know what, let me just pick it up. It really is so beautiful, and I was like, I'm gonna read this. This was a couple months ago, and at that point I had planned on reading it in 2023, and I just know it's just not going to happen. I did read The City of Glass, that whole series, and I did read the other one, but I have no recollection of it. I just know it because I own the books, but I have never picked up these books before, and I've heard amazing things about them, and it just seemed like something I would love. I know that it's set in the Shadowhunters universe and it's urban fantasy, and I have heard nothing but amazing things, but these books are thick. They do kind of intimidate me. I definitely want to know what the hype is about, and it's been years and years since I've read any of Cassandra Clare's work, but I remember being so obsessed with them and wanting to be so immersed in the world. And I remember going to see City of Bones with my parents in theaters when it first came out, and it was just like an amazing moment for me because I had been such a fan, so I would love to dive back into the world. I remember when these books came out, I was like, I can't read them. Like, I'm such a City of Glass fan, or City of Bones, oh my god, City of Bones fan. Like, there's no way this one would ever measure up, but I've heard nothing but amazing things, so I need to read it in 2024. I just need to. It's gonna be top priority for me. Okay, next up we have Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. I don't really know what this is about, but I read Rock Paper Scissors by Alice Feeney and I really enjoyed it, so I definitely want to dive into this one. It is about a girl in a coma and then she remembers things and it's like, oh my god. So it sounds like it could be good. I haven't really heard much about this book, but I've heard a ton about the author. So definitely want to pick this up, and I'm sure I will, but I had to be in a mood for a short little filler like that, and I just haven't been. And then kind of along the same lines, I also got this from a friend, is No Exit by Taylor Adams. I've also heard quite a bit about this author recently, and apparently it's a film on Hulu. I've never heard of it. This is about a girl, and I guess she gets in a little car crash on the side of the road and is trying to get out of a bad situation. So again, it looks like a pretty short read. Probably I'll read this if I go on a vacation or a road trip somewhere, but I just haven't been in the mood, and it just feels like there's so many other books that just take precedent over this. Okay, next is another book I bought. I bought this quite a while ago when this book first came out, and it has been staring at me at my shelf, and I need to get to it in 2024, and that is The Institute by Stephen King. I haven't read a ton of Stephen King's books, but the little amount that I have read, I've absolutely fallen in love with. I just love his writing. I love the way that he writes characters and plot lines, and he makes me feel scared and just like feel creeped out, and I love that. He's just an amazing author. So I just need to read The Institute. I love that he branched out too into not just like straight horror, but psychological thrillers and just things that really make you think, and this book sounds like it would make me think. This is about a kid named Luke, and he gets kidnapped and taken away to this shady institute. So I'm very excited to read this, and I just need to get to it. Okay, next are two books that I've had for years, and they're both by John Green. So the first one is Will Grayson, and the second one is Turtles All the Way Down. I don't know what either of these are about. I do know that back in the day, I used to be a hardcore fan of John Green, like hardcore. I have all of his books basically, and I read them all. I just haven't read these two, and I don't know why. I think I was beginning to exit the phase of being obsessed with John Green, and then I just had these two books left and I never read them. Every single time I go to Barnes & Nobles, especially for Turtles All the Way Down, I always like pick it up and read the back of it, and then I'm like, wait a second, I own it, and I just never read it. So I need to go ahead and just read these two. Okay, next we have Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens. Very old classic, and I just want to read it. I really want to get into classics. It's something that's kind of out of my comfort zone. I've done it in high school, hated it in high school, hated Charles Dickens in high school, the way that he writes and just the amount of detail he has in his writing. I hated it, but I do want to give it another shot, and this looks more digestible and short, so I have this on my physical TBR. I honestly don't know if I'll ever get to it. Just not because it's intimidating, because I know I'll probably won't have a good time with this, but we'll see. Next book we have is The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichek. Never heard of this, but I did get it for Christmas one year. It is fantasy, it is Greek mythology like, and I kind of want to read it, but also the reviews I've seen on Goodreads don't seem that good, and that kind of has me a little wary. But I've had this for a long time, so I think I probably should get into it, and it's not too long, so hopefully I can get into this book and read it in 2024. If not, I'll have to probably give it to somebody who will appreciate more, but I've never heard anything about this book. Okay, and then the last book that I haven't gotten to is Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis, and I feel so horrible, like really horrible, because one of my friends, when I was a freshman, I got this when I was a freshman in college. I'm graduated now, and my friend got this for me. I don't really talk to her anymore. It's one of those things where we kind of grew apart. She was older than me. But she got me this book, and I see that she highlighted and annotated it, and now I feel bad because now I just need to read it. C.S. Lewis has a really interesting history. His story is just really interesting to me, but I haven't read this. So I need to get to this because it just makes me feel like a bad person for not reading something that I know people have annotated specifically with me in mind. So there we have it. Those are all the books that were on my physical TBR that I didn't get to, and hopefully I get to them in 2024. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to get rid of them, and I don't want to do that. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is my dog. He wanted to say hi. But if you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Say bye. Bye. Bye.